over the last 2 years, we have done a lot of focused work in improving LGBTQ representation and inclusion. Uh, you can look at Godrej as a group which has always been LGBTQ friendly, and hence the work that Parmesh did with in India Culture Lab and Trans Inclusion Manifesto in 2018. So there was a lot of work that had been done, but in the last 2 years, there has been a very concentrated effort in getting in people from the cohort, and also uh, in the meantime understanding that maybe the policies that we had could have been looked at in another lens and then upgraded in that sense. So we do have inclusive policies, the same-sex partner benefits, which was launched in 2010, much before decriminalization happened. People actually took benefit of it in 2012 already. Some people who are queer in the organization. We have the gender affirmation policy, which has also gone a relook in this last year, and in 2023. Transgender accommodation assistance policy, I'll touch upon that. And then we have a gender neutral anti-sexual harassment policy. There's a lot of work on onboarding that we do when we are hiring a trans person, specifically giving importance to the taken names over given names with respect to even internal systems. So, a lot of your systems will only say first name, last name, and then how do you figure that out? And also, how do you differentiate using legal names when a person is still transitioning and not gone through legal transition, for specifics like a Form 16, or your pay slips, or travel systems, and how do you kind of take that into play? The infrastructure, yes, we did launch something called as an all-inclusive model site, and I will showcase some images of that in the coming slides. Gender neutral washrooms, we started off with this. Now every site of ours, wherever we are going, has a gender neutral washroom. I think maybe the last question may have been pertaining to us. So every site currently, we do have around 38 to 39 washrooms which are gender neutral and also all inclusive. When I say all inclusive, means they are PWD compliant depending on the space that we currently have. We launched Queers and Allies ERG in the year 2022, which now has really grown to multiple chapters across country, with people from the community and people who are allies coming together. And yeah, we run LGBTQ sensitization extensively. We started off this in the 2022, where we kind of made people sit down, talk about sex, gender, sexual orientation, and gender identity. And now it has just become every employee that joins goes through an induction session, goes through a fresher session, and it's become more like a policy and a mandatory system flow. So we currently have around 120 plus employees who are LGBTQ. There are more folks who have come out as well, but we do not count them in the number, considering that they prefer to stay closeted in counting as a perspective. But I think the number would go up to 128, 129. And hence 120 plus is what the number is. And we have done around 2,800 people have been sensitized. You can move to the next slide. Oh, this is actually a photo from there's some text actually, it may have gone missing, but just to give you context, this was from last year's October, where we did the ERG anniversary, and the first batch of our Pride interns, where this was a Pride internship that we launched, went through a convocation ceremony. And also, if you see, the people in the photo is the full management committee at GPL, along with Pirosha Godrej, who is the chairperson themselves. So the senior leadership is really involved in even going down to an internship and having that into concentration. Um, if I have to put it right, we have hired people who have been a part of the internship since we launched. Around 75 people have gone through, are a part of this internship, out of which 45% have converted to becoming either full-time or contract employees. Full-time employees, and another 30 people have gone on to become contract employees, and the remaining, unfortunately, couldn't convert into thing, or some could have been, or some are still currently in an internship. So we do not have a batch concept. We kind of do this in an operational routing, like a flow perspective, and every quarter that we hire is considered as a batch, because they go through a 9-month learning journey. In the 9 months, there's a review mechanism put into place, and a PPI given post 9 months, a PPO given post 9 months. You can proceed to the next slide. Actually, this is just a photo of a screenshot of a post that we had, Mega, who is our CHRO, had done regarding our trans accommodation assistance policy, where now we provide accommodation to our trans employees who require it and aren't able to find it. We actually have 8 guest houses currently operational pan India, where our trans employees are currently staying. Um, this is one particular testimonial of Hayat, who was one of the few starting people who kind of took benefit of this, who kind of took the benefit and are currently also staying with us in this accommodation. Um, Please proceed to the next slide. This is so actually this is a mix of multiple. The top photo is actually Pride. Top left photo is actually a Pride march that we did. That's me, including with our CHRO and the whole jing bang of all of the LGBTQ folks plus all the employees at Godrej. We did a full-on march where everybody this, and plus we executed these marches on all of our sites as well. And the other photos is the all-inclusive model site. So when I say an all-inclusive model site, it means that we have 50% men, 40% cis women, and 10% LGBTQ PWD at the site level, at a unit level. But in the site also, we have actually gone on to make certain visual cues. So you'll see an all-inclusive restroom, a mural, a flag that says everyone is welcome here, plus a standee or a tabletop at every table. This is done particularly not only for branding perspectives, but it is that I can sensitize my own employees. But when customers are visiting, how do you sensitize them? And this has been done to visually sensitize them to say that, this is an all-inclusive site, and you will find people who you may not have be seeing in your regular life. But then how do you kind of act responsibly at that site? I think that does up my side. Am I done? Yes. Oh, this is still one more thing I think I'll just touch upon. This was a roundtable that we did called the GPL DEI Compass, where if you see Dr. Arman Pandey, Ketki, Ranade, Umang Kothari, all of these people are trans affirmative surgeons, mental health therapists, and doctors. We actually consulted with them on a roundtable to understand how can we create a trans affirmative policy to be better, a gender affirmative policy to be better. Currently, I'll give you the statistics. So we currently have our policy provides 6 lakhs worth of gender affirmation surgery benefits. Along with that, 80,000 for HRT from both consultation and from a insurance, from a medication perspective. And in addition, we provide them linkages with the doctors that we have empaneled who are trans affirmative or queer affirmative. I think it's just that it's important that you understand the market rate that is currently there. You negotiate with your insurance agent and you provide them the right benefit. Otherwise, you will never be able to give them this. Plus, also, it's cashless and not a reimbursement model, because most of the folks who joined us early on were sitting in your entry level. Then to do a reimbursement becomes a complex thing, and hence going and understanding the cashless piece is also an important piece. Yeah, I did cover up most of it. I hope so. And I in less than 9 minutes. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna ask you to just wait for one more minute because I think we have some very common questions. If we could
Yeah.
just quickly take that up and we'll move to the other panelists. How, one question is around what's the infra requirement to have transgender people working in the office? And secondly is, could you shed some light on what worked on the hiring front to get 120 plus LGBTQ employees? So infra and hiring, yes.
So infra, very clear that gender neutral or all inclusive washrooms have to be there at the site, irrespective wherever we are placing a trans person or a non-binary person at site. Okay, that is clear on infrastructure. Certain other things, like say for example, if there's a resting room for women that we do keep at some of our locations, especially from a breastfeeding or a thing, that is also given access to a trans man or a trans woman, considering certain hormonal changes that they're kind of going through when they are transitioning, keeping that into context. But otherwise, not really required anything, except when we went according to the trans accommodation assistance policy. I and Neelam, I remember having a conversation earlier because I really liked what Transin was, but because Transin goes with a batch kind of concept, we had to we couldn't go and do tie-ups with like a co-live kind of approach. And hence now we take on a flat or an apartment of 3 BHK or 4 BHK, and then we give it to our trans employees. The rooms that are not yet occupied, that is used as a guest house in that thing, so that at least it's commercially viable for us. But yeah, those are the two things on accommodation that we have done. Or on infrastructure. One more thing on infrastructure, I would say, we provide mental health therapists. So it's identifying their trans, inclusive, or LGBTQ affirmative really helps you. Otherwise, it can go very wrong.